Hi, I'm Judy.
And I'm Tamara.
Welcome to Balance Not Boring, the wellness podcast that's not about extremes or perfection.
Just real conversations on balancing your mind, body, and soul in our bustling city of Dubai.
So grab your tea and get comfy with us.
Oh, and fair warning, you will learn something. Tamara Jabi! Welcome to Balance Not Boring. This episode is harnessing happiness and mastering confidence with none other go-getter Tamara Jabi.
Oh, hey guys!
We're so excited.
I'm so excited. You have no idea.
So much to talk about
my
in this
God.
short time.
Yap, we can yap forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so much to discuss, and there's no better guest than you. Tamara Jabi is an editor-in-chief of SheerLuxe Middle East, leading the platform's expansion in the region. Raised in Dubai, she built her career in luxury beauty and brand storytelling, working at LVMH for Dior Beauty and Sunday Riley before transitioning into digital media. Now at SheerLuxe, she curates content that blends global trends with regional perspectives, shaping conversations around fashion, beauty, and lifestyle in the Middle East. With deep appreciation for the region's evolving landscape, she's committed to showcasing its talent and creativity on a wider scale.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's a mouthful.
Such like a nice bio. Like inspo.
It's
Dude, I need
just
to redo mine.
it feels true to me. To be fair, it is. Yeah,
It's a good summary.
yeah.
You've been
Guys,
through
thanks
it.
for having me.
Yeah, and you're such an inspo because you've done a lot and you've experienced in-house and now like with media and you have this high energy. So obviously we're going to go into now the topics of what we want to discuss in the episode, and we really feel like our audience will benefit because you're in the age group of same with us. If that a lot is changing in your life.
Yes.
As you know, and you can tell us, but basically just to just bullet what we're going to go through in the episode. So obviously confidence is your virtue. We believe you exude it and you have such a high positive energy that it's just, I would like to say the word, I guess it's, I don't know, like when you're around it, you just want to you attract it basically. Like we all kind of feel like we want to have more of that in our lives. So it's a good thing, of course. And we want to know, how do you maintain that energy? And do you ever feel levels of burnout, with your high kind of paced lifestyle? And last thing is self-care rituals and also what you do in all of the time with now your identity changing, you're going through milestones. So we'd love to cover all of that. So let's get into it.
There's so much to get
As
into.
we say, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So, Tam.
Hey
You
Tam.
know, like I associate you with TJABI.
Oh, do you actually? Because my social handle, people always do that. They're always like, but you're TJABI, and I'm like, yes, but
So many Tamaras.
I was TJ in high school.
Yeah.
So I was TJ in high school. You remember
Yeah,
that era?
Of course, TJ.
And I copied it from my brother, who was also TJ. And I was like, I
True.
want to be TJ too. And then he was kind of annoyed that I turned into TJ. And then when I hit university, I was like, no, I need to be Tamara. Like, I can no longer be that, vice president in the school, like drama kid, TJ, like fun. I can still be fun, but I just wanted to be like this different identity. So, yeah.
Now you're mature, TJ.
Now
you're
I'm
Tamara.
now I'm transforming into.
Tamara Jabi.
Now I'm
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I'm so madame. I'm like Tamara Jabi.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Angel.
tell us, what is a typical week like in your life?
I will say no 2 weeks are the same. They're never the same. Ever since transitioning into this role, it's been very fast paced. Not to say that my previous roles weren't fast paced, and why I say roles is because a lot of what I do in the week is centered on work. Like I'm very much, it consumes a lot of my time, especially because work doesn't stop after like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. because of the media and the industry that we work in. There's events at night, there's networking events. And like I'm so privileged to be in a position where I'm networking with so many different people and different industries. So, and I'm the type of person that I want to say yes to a lot of things because I know the benefits and I see the benefits and I actually genuinely enjoy connecting with people. Like I love being with people. Keep in mind that not only do we have the events that go on, we also have the content that we have to shoot. Obviously, SheerLuxe Middle East is very content heavy. SheerLuxe as a whole, we thrive on content. We're content first. We, our founder and CEO says we have to inspire, educate, entertain. So we have to all hit these 3 touch points regularly with everything that we put out.
Travel maybe too.
Yeah, so travel, for my previous jobs, I used to travel internationally a lot because we would do like, I was in PR, so we would take people abroad and do like these like beautiful experiences. Now a lot of my travel is regional,
Okay.
which is Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, etc. And I, before, you tell people that you compare like, oh, I'm going to travel to LA and Paris. And then now I'm like traveling to Qatar and Kuwait. And that sounds like it's not as fun and it's a bit boring because it's like the region, which is where you live. It's basically almost the same as where you live. But I love it because of the industry that I'm in now, because I'm amplifying voices. I feel so privileged that my job is actually just like enhancing and making people's stories come to life. Whereas my previous roles in corporate was like, this is the brand and we want to showcase the brand and this is the brand guidelines and it's amazing and you learn a lot. But now I'm like connecting with different people and their stories and we're bringing it to life and through content on social media, but also on the platform. So it's fun and really enriching for me.
So fulfillment's different a little
Exactly. Fulfillment is completely different. And people have told me throughout, my time at SheerLuxe, I'm celebrating a year next week.
Ooh,
as editor-in-chief. I contributed earlier, but like as in this role, I'm celebrating a year. Actually, Monday, I think.
Oh, this is good. So much to celebrate.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of milestones, like you said.
Yes.
So a lot of people tell me that you seem like you're at your best now, like your truest self, which is so true. I do feel like my identity is like I feel genuinely me in this role.
Does that ever overwhelm you in any way?
Absolutely, because I feel very myself, and though I feel very genuinely myself, and I feel at peace with who I am, and I'm confident in who I am, I do feel overwhelmed because I feel like I have a level of upkeep that I have to adhere to, even as something as simple as like Instagram stories. We were talking about this earlier. Instagram stories, like I love storytelling. I've been a storyteller since my Snapchat days. Like I loved Snapchat in university, and I would Snapchat and I would storytell, and then I went into Instagram stories and I had a private account for the longest time. And my friends would be like, "Oh my God, your Instagram stories are so much fun. They're like Netflix." And I'm like, I love it so much and I love to storytell, but then I get to a point where I overcommit to things. I say yes too much. So then I feel like, oh my God, I'm overwhelming myself. When easily you can just say no to things and people won't get offended, people won't get upset. But I have an issue with that where I'm like, no, but I can absolutely do it and I want to do it. So that's the part where it gets overwhelming, where it's like I overwhelm myself because I feel like I need to commit to something that everyone's so used to having me a certain level. So sometimes I'm like, I need to keep up that pace, but it's like, I don't actually need to. And then your body naturally, and going back to health, naturally will tell you need to slow down. So 2 weeks ago, I got hit with the worst flu ever. The flu that everyone had in Dubai.
Just recovering right now.
Yeah, exactly. It was the worst flu.
Worst.
It was a blessing for me in a way, because I was like, whoa, I actually do need to chill out. So I had a week where I didn't do anything. And I was like, whoa, I needed this.
You were forced to.
Yeah, I was forced to chill.
Sometimes your body forces you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it really does. It really does. But clearly, I mean, I'm just really curious. You're a big extrovert.
Yeah.
And you love to go out.
We assume.
You love to go out. But do you find yourself now becoming more introverted, or is on the spectrum of introvert, extrovert, you're very extroverted?
Correct.
Are you moving to be a bit more balanced? Where are you on that spectrum?
I think, Tam, I'm definitely an extrovert, and I continue to stay an extrovert. I'm someone who's still very social. I still connect with people. I still connect with even strangers. What do you do? So I feel like I don't think I'll ever drift to the introvert side, but I am learning now that I need to kind of balance, not boring, I need to balance my energy levels, because I am giving 100% to everyone all the time. And that's just me. It comes out naturally. It genuinely comes out naturally. It's not like I'm being disingenuous. I'm not putting a front, but that actually will, make you feel less able to give to other people.
I think it's really important in life shifts, like with these milestones we go through, getting married, having kids one day, you start to learn, like, how much can I give to others? How much do I prioritize with my family, for myself? You have to start looking at that differently. But it happens in that life stage. You can't just plan for it.
You're so right. That is actually so true. It's the cycle of life. Like, I'm realizing it now as I have more commitments, as I have more milestones that I'm going through, as I have more things. I'm like, oh, I actually can't be what I was like in my 20s, where I was like high energy all the time to every single person. And I can still do that, but I do need to kind of give myself sort of self-care rituals that will balance that out and make me like recover from whatever I put out.
Yes.
You know, the other day I was looking at my life as a pie, and because I'm expecting a boy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so you're a whole person when you start. So you're only Tam, right? And then Tam goes off to work or goes to college and does her own thing. And then Tam meets boy.
Yeah.
You get married, so your pie is in half.
Yeah.
And then Tam wants kids. Your pie is cut. And then more kids, your pie is cut. And then you have like nieces and nephews. So the time for yourself becomes so much smaller and becomes so much more sacred.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. Like that is the exact personification of what I'm realizing it now. It is so true. It's about that, like, I'm realizing, I'm like, oh, I can't give, even like when my first niece was born, I was 24 years old. My first niece was born. I was aunt of the year. She doesn't even live here, but when she would visit or when I would go 24 hours a day, like 7 days a week, I am like number one. We're playing all the time. But now I'm realizing I have more nieces, more nephews. And I'm like, oh, I actually don't have the time anymore. And it actually breaks my heart because I'm like, I was giving so much to my first and second nieces. And now I'm like, it makes me feel guilty. And I can only imagine as a mom how that's going to make moms feel, because you have two kids. So and you're getting, as you age, you're different.
I'll tell you honestly, like, I'm here, but my mind is thinking, like, are they okay? Like, they miss me. When I leave, they cry. Like, they're so attached at this age.
Yeah.
3.5, 1.5. So it's always like, this is what you will start to, I guess, go through, is like your mind is split. You're never you're never whole anymore.
Yeah.
Your mind is with someone, or your mind is like, I have to do this, this, and this, in this amount of small time I have for myself. Yeah. That's like but if you're good at multitasking, you can slowly get into that.
And I think
it's practice.
Exactly. I think what you said it perfectly. It's a practice. It's like, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a way of life, and it's practice.
It's progress.
And then again, you go back to the things that make you happy, and you kind of ground yourself in different ways. And that's what, what you guys are doing. You're talking about balance and self-care and wellness. That is really what the core of it is. It's like, life is going to be tough. Life is going to throw curveballs at you. You're going to go through all these different things, but it's what are those things that you're doing to bring yourself back and make you feel like yourself, and make that pie seem like more of you when times that you need it.
Definitely. And on that note, I mean, obviously now, like, life is busy. Dubai is busy.
Oh
your job, your lifestyle. So this is what we're curious to know, is like, when do you start feeling tired? Like, do you even as an extrovert feel burnout quickly? And when you do, what is that red flag?
Yeah, I definitely experience burnout, especially when I don't fill my cup. Like, my fiance will know. Well, my husband, because we got married today. I was like saying it, then I was like, am I announcing that I got married today?
You can announce it, yes. So we're so happy. She's celebrating with us.
You're literally the first people
so
I love her say.
This is amazing.
But yeah, so my partner always tells me, like, if I'm feeling a certain way where I'm like, oh my God, I'm just drained, or I'm feeling this way, or I'm acting in a way that's not truly myself, he's like, have you worked out today? He'll ask me, like, did you work out today? Did you drink enough water? Like, the check-in questions. So to answer your question, like, yes, I absolutely feel burnout, especially because of my issue is where I commit to a lot of things, and I say yes to a lot of things, and I never want to disappoint people. And it's not a people-pleasing aspect, because I'm not a people pleaser, but I do say, if I commit to something, I will commit to it. Like, I would never want to cancel last minute. I never want to, like, be flaky. I want to show the person that I genuinely care about you and your time, and it's important to me, even though I am sometimes super late. I come late to things, so I'm steering off into different things, because I want to mention that sometimes I'm late to things and I'm like, it feels like I don't respect your time, but I promise you, like, I do respect your time, and I want people to understand that it's not a people-pleasing element, but it's more of like a respect for our relationship. And I think that comes back to my PR background and understanding relationships, and just like being hyper aware that, like, connecting with people is super important, like on a human level, not on a beneficial level, if that makes sense.
So when do you connect to yourself?
Exactly. It's like, when do I put time for myself? when I work out, when I exercise genuinely, I feel the most confident. I feel the most myself. I feel the most like I'm giving back to myself. I generally, working out for me in any capacity, whether that's, high intensity, Pilates, whatever it is, I feel like I'm doing something for myself. Also, just hanging out with people that I care about in a really relaxed setting, watching TV, having dinner, that really also brings me back. Like I feel like I'm calm. That for me is just the way that I kind of reset. I would say that I meditate. I wish I could meditate, but I'm not there yet, even though there are amazing apps that you can use to get you to meditate on a regular basis, but I'm not there yet.
I know. I mean, even like I don't meditate. Do you?
Oh my God, no.
We're a wellness podcast and we don't meditate.
But
like,
people swear by it.
I know, but it's like for me, I think to force myself to get in that zone puts stress on me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want that. I'd rather be, when I'm being active, driving, walking, I'm like telling myself, I told you in the last episode, like I like mantras, I talk to myself, like in a really quick, concise way, like, okay, you are this, you are that. I am grateful for this. Like, and I remind, that's my way of meditating, because it's like a second of gratitude or like mindfulness in what I'm doing. But it's sit there and close, like do this thing, like I can't do.
But there's different forms of meditation,
there
right?
is, yeah.
Like traditionally, no, I can't sit there cross-legged.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Although I'm like, I practice yoga all the time.
Yeah, you are such a yogi.
And that movement is meditation.
Right.
I'm not there.
And you're focusing on your breath, probably.
Focusing on everything except
It's present.
Your mental.
My mental. My
For me,
mental
it's
state.
Pilates because of the rhythm, like, like the counting, and like I like structure, Capricorn vibes. Like I'm really routine. So like, this, I think that's like everyone has their thing and that their own form of meditation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like you're saying one or nothing. And when you do get to these kind of lower points, though, I guess we want to know like what techniques or what's your way of getting out of it, because you have to be turned on 90% of the day.
Yeah, you're so right. There was a period, I think it was last year before my 30th birthday. I hadn't joined SheerLuxe, I don't think. And I got to a point where I was really down. I just, for some reason, I don't know what it was. Something overcame my body and I was really down. And I didn't understand. I slept a lot. Like, it's all signs of depression, but I didn't know what it was, because I was happy. I had my partner that, like moving to Dubai. I had like my friends and family all around me. There was nothing on paper, if you looked at like my life, that was wrong. I was very, very privileged, very happy. But something overcame me and I was really, really upset. And I always remember that moment is because how I got out of that was genuinely like gratitude journaling. That is something that really does help and put things in perspective. Sometimes it's easier said than done, because you're like, yeah, I can write about all the things I'm grateful for, but there's an overwhelming feeling of like sadness or like heaviness. What got me out of that is, to be fair, my partner. He gave me these like reminders every day, these check-ins every day, the fact that I could just do small wins. I focused on small wins. When you focus on small wins, eventually you're going to build up that serotonin. You're going to eventually build to a place where you're like, okay, I can do this. And just managing yourself. Sometimes I have so many things to do. I have so many things I need to accomplish. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling burnt out. I just like ignore everything and I just do one thing at a time and just tick it off. Like, okay, I did it. Small win.
I think when you overthink about like what's to come, what's next week going to be like, what's tomorrow going to be like, that's when it gets really stressful.
Totally.
But like you're saying, just focusing on the small things, like, okay, in this hour we're sitting here together. Don't think about what you have to do after, because that's stressful for anybody. It's just a way of like training your brain to think differently when you have so much on your plate all the time.
Yeah.
So I think you do a great job of even not showing that. And that's probably what our audience wants to know is like, how do you, I don't know if you want to say fake it till you make it or whatever, but if you're feeling down or tired, you like, it's a skill to not let people feel that. I've never seen you look messy, look down, look tired, and I've seen you.
We haven't spent enough time together, Judy, because
okay,
I definitely
after this podcast, like, listen, but seriously.
That's so kind of you to say. I mean, like,
what do you tell yourself?
I actually, when I'm not feeling my best, or when I do, there's two schools of thought in my mind. One is words hold power. So whatever you say, you put out, like it becomes you. So if I say that I'm super depressed or I'm not happy or whatever, if I actually put those words out into life and make it much more intense and dramatic than it is, because you can easily say, you can absolutely say you're not feeling well, or you're feeling like this is, it's a tough day for you. I'm not saying you can't say those things, but if you focus on those will become your reality. So number one thing I do in certain moments is I don't speak those words. I make sure that I'm like, yes, I'm not feeling 100%, but it's not the worst day ever. Like I've got these, again, small wins. I've done this and this and this, and I feel like I can get through it. And I always think back, I'm like, remember last week? It was amazing. So, and I'm like, I can get back to that. So I kind of talk myself into it on one school of thought. And then on the other side, on some days when I'm feeling like not the best, and how do I, fake it till I make it, or how do I show people that I'm not? I actually don't. I actually tell people what I'm feeling, and that makes me feel more relaxed. So if I'm going to like a meeting or an event and people are like, hey, they're high energy and they're expecting me to do the same because I'm always high energy, I'll literally tell them I'm having such a tiring day. Yeah, I'm feeling so tired, but it's good to see you. And I focus on what I'm grateful for. Like I'll be like, so good to see you, and I'm really happy that I'm here. And that kind of trains my mind to be like, I'm telling them how I'm feeling, so I feel more at ease. So I don't feel like I have to fake it. But equally, I'm focusing on the positive. It's like a weird thing that I do in my brain. I'm like, okay, like I want to be real with you because I want to be as genuine as I can, but at the same time, I also want to trick my brain into thinking it's actually not too bad.
Were you always like this? Like even growing up, were you always like this? Or did your PR background help you become even more extroverted?
Yeah, I think, no, I've always been like this. From childhood, I've always been extremely outgoing. And when I was growing up, I didn't even know what PR was. And the reason why I bring it back to PR is because PR is really all about connecting with people and being extroverted. And my mom's friends would come up to me and be like, Inti PR. Especially one of my best friends, Lulu's mom, she would always tell me, Inti lazim tishtaghli bi PR, Arabic people. And then my mom's friends, actually your mother-in-law as well. You know what I mean? Like they would just tell me like, you're such a PR person. So naturally in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I don't know what PR is. But I don't know if it's like nature versus nurture, but I have always been this type of person. And being the youngest in my family of 3 boys, I feel like I had to be loud because I had 3 older brothers and they were, they're men. And I was like, I want to show people that I'm here. Hello, I'm here. Typical like younger child syndrome, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's
a mix of nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
You're innately like outgoing, you can relate to people, you can talk, but then also your environment forced you to totally stand out. So when you want to do these, I think you mentioned earlier, boundaries. What is your way of doing a boundary, for example? Like, let's say now you're learning to say no. Like, this is part of growing up. Like, we all went through this, right? Especially when you do get married or have kids, like these changes. What do you do without offending someone, especially in PR, for example?
Yeah, in the industry, it's I feel like I've semi-mastered it, in the sense that I set expectations from the beginning. So I'm kind to you. I will give you my time. I respect your time. So I will always give. So if let's say someone wants to meet with me for a coffee, and I know that this coffee in specific is, they want to get something out of me that I won't be able to give it to them. I'm super nice to them. I make sure that I don't just like, if we're exchanging on WhatsApp, I make sure to have a call with them so that I'm like, I want to show you that I actually care about your time. And I do. It's not like a strategic thing. It's more like this is how I work. I'm like, I want to show them that I actually do care about them reaching out to me, because I'm sure we're all in this world benefiting in some capacity. So I'm going to do the extra effort to call you or have one meeting with you, but then set the expectation from the beginning that, yes, like I would love to do this, but it's not going to work, or this is not something that we can continue with, but like, let's stay in touch. And 90% of the time, 99% of the time, people get it and they're understanding, as long as you show them that, you still hold value. You never want to treat someone that they're just like, they're not worth your time. I see a lot of people, especially in my position in the industry, as you know, where they're just like, I'm too good for this, or I don't have enough time, or my email inbox is crazy. I have so many WhatsApp messages. I go through so many, but I still find it really important on a human level. Doesn't matter your title, but people really take their titles and they're like, I'm too good for you. But it's like, that's not. If you remove your title, remove everything, what are you bringing to the world? Like, what's worth it in the world? you have to connect with human beings. Like human connection is the biggest thing.
I mean, your titles can be stripped away
In
from you
a
in a second. We're just
In
a
a
number,
second.
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you always have to go back to your values.
Exactly.
And anyone, no matter where they're from, how they're old, like gender, how old they are, whatever, that's life. Like, we're born who we are, but I always say this, by chance. So, like, who are you to be rude to someone because they're not X or they don't look like this or they're not titled?
100%.
It's just like you have to think on a human level always.
How do you manage that? I mean, you give so much to people. You are so incredibly grateful and with your time, their time, everybody else's time. I know that's not always reciprocated back to you, but how do you manage it in such a fast-moving environment? And fashion PR, editor-in-chief, it's also not easy.
It's not easy. And Tam, sometimes I tell Rami, who's my partner, I tell him, like, I'm about to burn out. Like, I need you to, like, we need to do something to. So the reason why I bring up my partner is because he's someone who really grounds me and, like, knows me so well that I tell him I'm on the verge of burning out because everything's so fast-paced. So he'll be like, okay, let's have the weekend to do X, Y, Z. Whether that's like, let's go on a staycation, let's like, you know, do a workout together, let's ground ourselves in a certain way that brings you back. So I need to refill my tank. All it is really is just I need to refill my tank.
How do you do that?
Working out, taking time off, saying no to certain things.
Question though. So I would say ambivert, you're an introvert, and you're an extrovert.
You're an ambivert?
Yeah, in the middle.
Oh.
So I like to be with people. I get like really excited. I'm good at talking, whatever. I can socialize, but I have to go charge alone.
Yeah.
After this, I'm gonna like be like, bye guys.
See you later, guys. Also,
But
you
like,
have
yeah,
kids,
it's
so that's
different. So like for you as an extrovert, how you're recharging, I would assume, tell me if I'm wrong, that you would get more charged by going out and by doing things. Like you don't need to ever be alone, or do you?
Oh, I love being alone.
Okay.
I do love being alone, but I'm not alone most of the time because I don't know how to say it. Like, yes, it's my job, but then also I love socializing with my friends. Like, I do love being with my friends. I genuinely love it. Obviously, now we're changing so much because everyone's like getting married and having their own lives, and it's crazy. But the way that I kind of ground myself is like my mornings. Completely, I'm alone and I have my time. I have my TikTok on a stand and it's on auto scroll and I'm just like, this is my moment. Before bed, I'm like, this is my moment. Like I sit with my cats and we're just chilling. I need that time for myself. Like I do need that time.
Do you have like a routine where you put a face mask, go on TikTok, hang out, have a cup of tea, or in the morning? Do you have like a full-fledged routine that you do morning and evening?
Not that I stick to. No, I wake up in the morning. The first thing I check is my phone. Yeah, I know it's so bad, but it's just who I am.
To be honest, I do it too.
I check
It's
my
also
phone.
not good.
My alarm is on my phone. So if I have a certain time to wake up, usually I wake up pretty early, like naturally. But sometimes I'm like, no, I need to make sure that I get my day started because I have a commitment XYZ. So my alarm's on my phone. So I check my phone first thing. I try not to go on social media first thing. I'll check my WhatsApps, I'll check my emails, but then I'll be like, I'm not gonna go on social media until I've fully woken up. I play with my cat. She comes into my room. I'm like caressing her, giving her cuddles, and that builds so much like serotonin. I get so happy when I'm with my pet. Oxytocin, is that it? I'm like serotonin? I don't know what it is.
Oxytocin, serotonin.
I don't know. It's the one of the
I know,
tonins.
because they say with kids,
Oxytocin.
with
Is it
kids you have
oxytocin?
oxytocin, like the
Oh,
cuddles.
okay. Sorry.
I'm just like, for everyone out there, it's actually oxytocin.
Thanks, Doc.
Whatever, exactly. No, but like I could see how that. I don't have pets, but I could see that.
But when I inshallah have kids, I know that that's gonna be a way for me to feel like, grounded. It's just like that feeling of like unconditional love.
You're saying it. You like connection.
I
like
do.
She's just spelling it out. That's her way of
Exactly.
feeling good.
I
Like
feel
your
good. I
energy.
feel like, yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, this, even if it's just my cat. Yeah. And this is my time. That's what I'm worried about, guys. When I move in with Rami, like this is my sacred time. Like the morning where I'm getting ready with my TikTok or YouTube on. Like I don't want any interruptions. I want to be alone.
Like I'm gonna just get into that point that you transitioned us very beautifully into. Your lifestyle will change, and coming from two married women, pregnant, 2 kids. Listen, I'm an only child. I was used to MySpace all the time.
I can imagine that
I
dynamic.
never had to share anything. And moving in with Zayd, and he's such a low key chill guy.
Yeah.
If you've met him, like you guys know, he's not demanding. He doesn't expect XYZ.
Yeah.
But I was not used to somebody always there, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wait, this is my time, and you're like, why are you waking up earlier than me? No, this is like whatever. So you start to adjust. Like I started going to bed later and he started going to bed earlier, and we start to like have more of a rhythm over the years. But in the beginning we had to literally sit down and have discussions. Like how do we optimize our lifestyle?
This is good. This is good advice, by the way, because
it's like you have to talk about
I
it.
actually really like that you said that, because I didn't imagine that we needed to talk about it, but now it makes sense, because like you, not that I was an only child, but the fact that I really like I preserve my alone time, especially because I've lived in my parents' house now longer than I have like lived. I've obviously lived with my parents longer than I have lived alone, but the span has been like now like 10 years of living with my parents in my adulthood, and that's a long time to be living with your parents. Not that it's a long time in Arab culture, but in the sense that like, how am I gonna get to? I can definitely do another 10 years. Like I'm so down. Just PSA, I would be so down to stay at my parents' house. But to say that transition is gonna be tough to move into like with another person, because even with my parents' house, like we're in separate headquarters. Like not that we have a big house, but like, you know, my parents don't invade my space. I have my own space. Now you're going to be sleeping in the same bed with someone, the same space. We're in a smaller space. Yeah, we're not going to live in a villa. We're going to live in an apartment to begin with, so it's even smaller. And so, sorry, going back to what you were saying, your husband is calm and relaxed, and Rami is the same. He's super calm and super relaxed, and the opposite of me. So I think, you know, that conversation that you're having with your husband about how you can optimize resonated with me, because I'm like, actually maybe I need to do that, because I do foresee clashes. Yes. I foresee it.
It will happen naturally.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things you can't talk about before you start to live together, because you don't know, you don't anticipate these things. You don't know that, say for example, the tiniest thing, say a cream that you have to put on your face takes 5 minutes, and Rami's in a rush to leave. But that's what you do every time you leave the house before you put your makeup on, something to get you started for the evening or for the day. These tiny little things will start to add up. And then suddenly you'll have this conversation about the smallest things.
Yeah. Like for example, you know. But I think so this is my question, is like with identity and shifting. So I know you, even as a girl's girl, you have your group of girls from whatever, like so many years back. Yeah. You are your own person. You've been independent. So when you're gonna get married, you are a unit now, but it's different when you're like living together formally. Like, you know, how will you embrace that? And how will you, are you aware that you might feel a little bit weird? Like, what's your thoughts about it, basically?
Yeah, I look at it like it's a commitment. So like I am committing to someone, right? So my whole life I've been focused on myself and my own wants, needs, you know, everything. It's all about Tamara and what she needs and her future and her goals. And now I'm introducing another person. And that means I need to shift my mindset and think, okay, I'm going to have to account for my other half who also has hopes, dreams, and I need to be there for them as much as, you know, they're there for me. And it's a partnership. Like the way that I see it is, yes, identity will start to change a little bit, but if you are genuine and true to yourself, your partner will only uplift you and make you more you and make you shine a bit more. So I see it as challenging in certain ways, because you're like, okay, I have another person to think about, but equally so rewarding, because actually I have another person who's also going to be like my biggest cheerleader, and we're going to support each other through life, and we're going to work on this like a partnership, very much so. So because you guys are experiencing, you know this about being married, like I'm sure you've been through the changes and you understand it. But I feel like once you have a partner that understands you and when you need to be you and when you need to step away from being a unit and kind of do your own thing, as long as they give you that space to be yourself sometimes and be on your own, I feel like you can only grow in the best way.
Yes.
That's my optimistic mindset of how I see it.
I think healthy relationships, like do you and Ilyas have those kind of
super healthy relationships? You know how I read a quote before I met Ilyas, before we started dating. I've known him forever. But I read a quote that says a guy that gives you butterflies is not the guy.
Oh my God, so true.
Is not the guy.
Yeah, I have a whole, like, we need to talk about
it's
that.
Like a whole other...
Can we talk about it?
No, let's talk about it quickly.
Yeah.
He's not the guy.
Every girl needs to listen to this.
Honestly, a guy that gives you butterflies is not the guy.
Repeat that, mic drop.
Not the guy, because that
louder for the people in the back.
Actually insinuating nerves.
Yeah.
You are not at ease. You're on edge. You don't know if they'll text or not. One day they're really talkative, the next day not. We've all been there, and we all were like, this is the one when we were in our teenage years.
Yeah.
But then actually the guy that keeps you always calm, we're like, this is too easy.
Exactly.
Is this right? And then you realize this is a husband material though.
1000%. And I
You
think
feel comfortable.
you feel comfortable, and then I get to a point as like my own like insecurities or my own ways of like things. I'm like, I sometimes take advantage of that. In a negative way, like I'm like, oh, but it's just he's just always gonna be there, and like so sometimes I need to
Human
like
nature.
self-check, and I'm like, okay, no, like there's ways to go about it, and Rami can definitely tell you that there's times where I'm like, I'm just so used to him being so calm and so there for me, and so all these things. So sometimes I do take advantage of him, and that's a flaw that I'm like I work on sometimes, and I'm open and honest about that, because I want people to know listening to this podcast that you're going to hopefully come across a partner that you feel so at ease with, and you feel so comfortable in your relationship that sometimes you might think that you can take advantage of that and feel like, whatever, it's not a big deal. My words don't mean much, or like I can say a comment here and there. But actually, like, no, like make sure that you can have those moments. We're all human, but then also work on communication, work on admitting when you're wrong, and all these different things.
If they're nice, that doesn't mean that you can just like let loose.
Exactly.
Or if they hold it in. Men in general don't
Yeah.
always tell you how they're feeling.
They really don't.
They
and
don't.
sometimes, if like Ilyas tells me for several days in a row, I really didn't sleep well. And I was like, okay, all right, what's up?
Your yoga.
Let's talk.
It's literally
probably
like,
my yoga, but like
but it's literally like that one sentence which like will open up a can of worms. You're like, it doesn't, for a woman, if we say I didn't sleep well, it's like I think of something in passing. We'll like literally say, oh my god, this has been on my mind, and oh my god, this is what's happening. It's so crazy.
And they don't want to know, by the way. But
Yeah.
you just open up the whole door.
Like, do you want to know? Because I
Yeah.
can tell you everything.
But like
yeah.
Zayd doesn't even sometimes tell me. But I know he's tired, poor guy. But like he doesn't feel the need to. Like they just, that's how they are wired.
Yeah.
They're like, think about it. I said this last time. Primitive. They're on their own hunting for days on their own. They don't need that like connection. So for us, when we have our girls and we have our groups, and it's important for our identity, because I feel like we're wired this way as a village. Like it takes a village,
Yeah,
and this is
absolutely.
women need that connection with our partner and with friends. So I was just curious, like when you were answering, it's like you will shift into new identities as long as you find ways, and if you have a healthy relationship with, which thankfully it sounds like you do, you need to always fit in your old life into your new life. You cannot just fully go into a new identity, because you will miss parts of yourself. That's when you get confused, you get lost. So find best ways to bring that in.
That's good advice.
I think the right partner will help you keep your old
Yes.
self, because that's who they fell in love with.
They're not
right?
insecure.
and they don't want you to change by any means. You are going to change naturally by being together, but you're not fundamentally changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think that's so important. But given all these hats that you wear, given, your slowly shifting identity, that, you're a married woman and, you're going to have kids someday, what do you think of women wearing so many different hats these days? There's definitely positives, but there's also some not so positive things. But I just wanted to pick your brains. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it goes back to authenticity. Like, you can wear hats. I love wearing hats. When I was working at, not to tie it to career, but identity has a lot to do with career as well. But when I was working at Sunday Riley, I was launching like 1 or 2 products a year, whereas Dior, I was launching like 3 products a month. So for me, I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing as much as I used to. And I used to be go and travel. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take up fitness instructing. So then I got my fitness degree. So I was doing PR, fitness instructing. Then SheerLuxe Middle East was launching in the region, and I met with the founder, and she was like, do you want to contribute on the side? So I was doing that as well. And then I had my niece's birth. So I was like, oh my God, I'm full aunt mode. And then I had, the commitment to my family. So I was doing a lot of hat wearing, and even now I'm doing a lot of hat wearing. But I feel like you just need to be authentically you. And the minute you start to feel inauthentic, and it's like the hats that you're wearing don't actually really represent you, you're just wearing them because either image-wise it sounds good, or oh my God, people are receptive to it. Like, you'll post a story or you'll post like a few things on social media, and the comments are flooding and they're positive and like, oh my God, you're doing it all, or like someone gives you compliments, and you're feeding off that more than you are feeding off yourself and your genuine joy and happiness. And to know what this is, to know what the genuine feeling of like, oh, I'm content with who I am and I'm happy with the hats, is self-reflection. It's like literally sitting down and like writing and journaling and thinking about it and like just like taking the time, because I go at such a fast pace in my life that if I don't take the time to just like sit and really write down and really think about it, like sit and think about it. And also if you have a partner or a best friend or a parent, and communicate how you feel, or a therapist, like communicate it, bring those words out to be able to really feel like, am I feeling authentically me? Do I really feel content? Or am I feeding off the energy of like other people and their compliments?
So that's a huge theme in our podcast, just in the whole like soul section of, are you looking for external validation?
Exactly.
Or are you intrinsically proud? Like I've done a few projects lately, hobbies and with work, that maybe I didn't get the reception that I would have imagined, but I'm proud of what I did.
Yeah.
And I've never reached that level, like only with the time where I'm like years of just sit with what you're proud of, and it keeps me going. And I stop caring. Like someone might not respond because they're in a bad mood. If your boss is in a, like they're busy, they're not in the mood to text you back in a nice message, whatever it is. You need to just be content in your own skin. And if you're authentic with your own personal brand, like every hat that you're wearing is doing something for what you stand for, you should feel motivation and that energy. But if you're going to do things, you get drained because you're doing things for others.
Yes.
Or what looks good. It might not sit well with your morals, but you're just doing it to do it.
Exactly.
But that takes time, right, to get to that
It's
point.
a learning process.
Yeah.
Like you have to live and learn. You have to be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that's what I feel. And you have to sit with your thoughts, which is like sometimes
you need to make the time, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And you know how some people, one of the questions was performance, but I'm going to go back to yoga because that's the only thing that I can relate it to. But a lot of people perform, right? They're doing a practice and they're performing, and their performance looks beautiful, right? They're doing these incredible back bends, these incredible postures. But then we had a visiting teacher once come on part of this yoga community, and he said when nobody's looking and you're practicing, are you content? Are you happy? Are you absorbing every moment, mind, body, and soul? There's no performance. It's just you and your mat and higher spiritual being or energy. How does that make you feel? And I always, whatever I do, I always say, if nobody's watching, nobody's looking, no one's judging, no one knows, how does that make me feel?
Exactly.
So it's interesting to hear.
But that's exactly it. Like, but that person who mentioned that is exactly the formula. It's like, it's easier said than done, right? Because some people get so warped in I am feeling good, like it is positive, but it's like, but really, are you really feeling positive? Are you really feeling authentically you? Or is it just the external validation or the fact that people are like proud of you, or they're like, if you post it on social media, are they because you're getting so many followers and you're getting brand deals or whatever it is, It's like, you really have to sit with that, because in a second, like we said earlier, anything can vanish, right? Everything can go in a second. So what are you truly happy with yourself? Yeah.
And I think it's important when you're walking or when you're sitting alone in the car, when you're walking alone, that's when you're sitting with your thoughts. How do you feel about yourself? My thing my like resolution this year is like, always be better today than I was yesterday. How am I improving? Even the littlest things. Like, instead of reacting to something, am I taking a second to, think before I say something? Or just the smallest improvement on my personal goals makes me feel better. Yeah. And even when it comes to work or hobbies, like this podcast, there's a purpose behind it. It links to what I do for work, but my interest as well. And I want to connect with the community. Same with you. You have your interest into why we started this. So everything we do just needs to have purpose for our own personal brand, I think. So you said it beautifully too.
I love that.
Really beautifully. And by the way, like, performing doesn't last long anyways.
Exactly.
People are going to catch on at some point.
Especially now in the the age of social media and how everything is like, you have to be authentically you, or people will cut through it like that. They are ruthless, honestly. They are.
And you don't last long. Like,
you
get
don't.
canceled.
Yeah, you do.
Even if you're not an influencer, 100%. Like, you're just, And so on this note, we have some quick questions that we want to like speed through. If you're ready for the lightning round, it's exciting.
I'm ready for the lightning round.
So this is going to get deep, and some of them are lighter. But let's start with, so one thing you would tell your younger self.
You are enough, and you are doing everything that you're doing will lead to something. So like keep going and keep being really genuinely authentically you.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
But do you ever, I know we're going a little off tangent because there's another question. Do you ever walk into a room and you're like, ooh, yeah, I love this. I love it. I love it here. I love the people. I love the vibe. I love the color of the walls. I love everything. And then other times you're like, this is not for me.
Absolutely.
Are you that in tune?
Yeah. I'm in the sense that I feel energies and I rub off people's energies because I'm someone who is so high energy. Like, if someone is not high energy, it's like I have to kind of not match it, but I have to kind of adjust accordingly. And you can sense, like there's a sense, I guess it's also like EQ, emotional intelligence a little bit. Like it's knowing people and knowing their energies and knowing when to, bring on whatever yourself 1000% and then knowing when to kind of like bring it down.
1000%. I think I have the same like chameleon vibes where I can match somebody.
Yes.
If they're very chill, I'm not going to be super hyper because it annoys them.
100%.
And, like,
and it's not. And
I'm in the middle always.
And it's not because you. Again, I feel like people confuse that with like people pleasing, where they're like, you're just doing, just be you. Like you don't, but there's a difference between matching energies and being you. You can still be you, but you have to match people's energies sometimes. Sometimes I don't, to be fair. Sometimes I'm like really high energy and I'm like,
I think it's a skill, honestly.
So I'm like, sorry guys, I'm just super high energy. But other times I'm like, okay, I'm going to tone it down a little bit. I would tell my older self, like, do not forget who you are and what makes you truly happy. Like, don't ever forget that, because I feel like with time, with life, that things that happen to you, like, life is, like I said, like life can throw curveballs at you. Health is a scary thing sometimes, and, life might, God forbid anything ever happens, but you never know. And you'll have kids and things will change and friendships will change. But if you forget what makes you truly happy and your inner child and what brings you joy, you're gonna steer away from that, again, that happiness and that joy. And I want to make sure that I remember when I'm older, like, don't forget to like remember what makes you happy and what makes you feel like yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So it's like reflection time.
Yeah.
Yes, carving that in. What's the smallest thing that gives you the most peace?
Ooh. The smallest thing that gives me the most peace. Is it like something I know to be true? Anything like your own ritual or a person or a thing that you eat every day. Like, what is it that gives you that, like, honestly, the fact that my family is in Dubai.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Genuinely, like, I feel, even though one of my brothers is abroad, but like that closeness, that connection that they're here, it's like I don't ever again, being the youngest of 3 boys and having all these like guys around me, like, inevitably, God forbid, but our parents will pass, right? We're gonna, inshallah, outlive our parents, but also deeply, it's really sad. But knowing that I have like my siblings and their partners who are also like really supportive, like, to kind of protect me in a way, I feel, and obviously my partner, but I feel this like sense of peace because I feel like I can go through life and not feel overwhelmed because I have this support system around me.
That's beautiful to like acknowledge that, and while you're still young, embrace those moments and be aware.
Yeah,
and to be so close.
Yeah,
be so
like
close
physically
to each
and
other,
emotionally,
and your friends more than anything else.
Exactly,
and you get along. So that's,
as an only child, I can say that's one of my biggest fears, to get raw here. If there's any only child listeners, it's very scary.
Of
like
course.
The future is very scary.
So I should have 2 kids.
Yeah, sorry. That's a whole thing. I will always. I've had friends ask me, "I'm good with one, right? Like you're cool, you're okay." I'm like, sometimes, but no. Honestly, I really love the idea of siblings.
But I understand that from an only child perspective, in the sense that I'm not an only child, but I have friends that are only children as well, but they get that same sort of security and stuff from other people that not necessarily are siblings,
cousins
and friends, or even like their own offspring. Like, you have children now, so yes, it's a different dynamic, and yes, it's not the same, but like, you're building your own life, which again will change again. Like right now, I feel so protected because I'm still I still don't have like I'm still young, I still don't have children, so I'm still in my parents' daughter, like I'm still that person. but I'm transitioning into being the other person. I think I'll find new ways to feel safe as well.
It's at the last quick fire, but if you could hit pause on everything for a week, what would you do? And honestly,
Hit pause on everything. Like
every responsibility.
everything. Oh, first thing I would do is like travel, but for me, like
Where would you go?
I am dying to do a solo trip, you guys. I am dying. Like if I actually have thought of this before. If I didn't have so much to do, like what would I use my time with? Solo travel. I've never done a solo trip before. I really want to go into like a retreat. One of my best friends is like super into her retreats. She is rich, like it's a ritual every single year. She makes it a commitment to do her solo retreat. She has a healer that she follows. So this healer does like a solo retreat in Sri Lanka, not solo retreat. She does retreats in Sri Lanka. She does them in India, and she'll follow that specific person. And I'm dying to do that. Like I just want to find that one person that I feel like I can connect with. It doesn't necessarily need to be a healer or someone that can plan a trip where it's fully about connecting with myself on my own. And I want to do that. Dying to do that. Even if I go to Shaw Wellness. So you guys know Shaw?
Yeah.
Like even if I do one of those, I want to do that.
Have you? Because you're the yogi. Like, have you done one?
I do one. I've done one actually for 2 years straight. I went to a yoga retreat with my teacher here, and I went to India last February.
Amazing.
If all goes well with the pregnancy and baby, I'll probably go to India next January. But yeah, solo retreats are amazing. Well, I mean, my future retreats will involve not so solo, but
You're like, I guess I have to bring a +1.
Yeah, baby, just
plus 5. It takes a village.
Literally, like, but you're coming with me, guys. I really need to go to this place.
But isn't that so enriching? Like, don't you feel like you've taken time for yourself? Like,
you become so much better as a person, and you become so much better as a wife or a mother or whatever role you're taking. And you just bring so much more insight to your relationships. And I think that's so important because we get caught up in our day-to-day conversations, which could be so meaningful and some maybe not so meaningful. But when you just take that moment to leave and do your thing and maybe disconnect for some time and not talk to people.
yeah.
It is so life-changing. I actually had a moment in India, I know time and whatnot, but where I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, it was the first time in my life after 3 weeks of being in India. It took me about a week to adjust because I was so used to fast pace. I had to stop in the middle of the street, literally in the middle. A few cows were behind me, honestly. But I was like, nothing's going to happen. I just had to stop. I looked up at the sun. I was like, is this how feeling grounded actually feels? I could not move.
Wow.
I was so connected to the ground. I was like, oh my God, please keep this moment forever. Please keep this
That's
moment forever.
amazing.
And it took, when I came back here, it took me about 2.5 weeks to come back to like, okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
All back to the
but
rush.
That's incredible.
beautiful.
That's really,
But
really.
don't you feel like it's because of the stress? Like stress, like it disables your ability to be grounded.
100%. And especially Dubai. I will say Dubai is extremely fast paced. Like it is crazy because
Visitors.
there's people that come in, and then there's also like it's such a saturated market in terms of like events and things that happen that people are trying to one up each other and trying to like keep up with all the trends and restaurant F&B outlets. They like open, they shut down, they open because everyone's like trying to keep up, and it's so intense. And then there's like new hotel openings and you can't keep up. There's so much. A lot of people don't live this life. Like a lot of people are like, we just live our like regular, like we go to work, we see our friends, we'll do like an event here and there. Like it's more relaxed, and we're privileged in a way because there's so much opportunity that comes with having that. But you need to have those moments where you feel grounded. That is like so important.
So on the subject of being in a busy city like Dubai, like how can we ground ourselves in the midst of something like anxiety inducing or traffic or in an awkward meeting with too many people, you feel claustrophobic? What are ways that we can automatically kind of calm down?
The way that I learned is from one of my other best friends. I feel like I talk about like several different friends here, but one of the ways is my friend gave me a little like, it looks like a business card. It's the size of a business card, little card. And it's her breathwork strategy. Well, I don't want to call it strategy, but it's her like method of how to calm yourself in moments of stress. And it actually works. Like breathwork is something that people talk about. It's a buzzword. People throw it around a lot. But if you can master breathwork, which I haven't mastered it, but my best friend is like breathwork master. She like gives you like a little card and she'll tell you like you take 3 deep breaths in, hold for 3 or 5 or whatever it is, and then exhale, really exhale it all out for 3, 4, or 5 seconds. And that does, I don't know what it does to your brain, but it scientifically, it does bring you to a sense of peace.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
That.
It
Just,
has healed. Breathing has healed
insane.
so many people.
yeah.
Like I'm listening to all these podcasts and I'm learning all these different things. And I'm like, whoa, it's like really powerful, the breath. So I think that's like the quickest way.
What advice would you give somebody
Tamara.
who's wanting to do it all? One word. Just one advice.
One word, one
word.
advice. Who wants to do it all? If you want something bad enough and you believe and you believe in it, you can absolutely do it, but don't lose yourself in the process.
Perfect. That's
Love
good as
it.
is. And how can everyone reach you if they want more inspo and more
Well,
advice?
you can reach me on Instagram. I'm at TJABI, as Tam knows. She's like, you're TJABI to me, at TJABI on
Exactly.
Instagram. Honestly, I also give out my WhatsApp number like hotcakes. I literally, like, I was doing a panel and, you know, a bunch of people were asking me, like, how can we
You
connect?
should have a sign.
Yeah, like, literally, I'm like, do you want my phone number? Like,
Yeah.
let's chat on
I
WhatsApp.
love that. Yeah, but TJABI, and then you're working with SheerLuxe. So
And
they
I
can
work at
follow
SheerLuxe
you
Middle
on
East.
there.
You can
Exactly.
please follow SheerLuxe Middle East
So
because so much
exciting.
inspo there.
Yeah, always on the run.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, you keep us entertained. So
Aw.
thank you for coming on.
Guys,
We
thank
loved
you.
it.
You were the most incredible host. Can I just
Really?
say?
Thanks,
Yeah.
girl.
Your energies are really they're perfect. Like they vibe. You guys are so
Yeah,
you're
we vibe. I
you're
think
a
we
you're a
vibe.
match, which is
Yeah,
crazy because
I
you
know.
only
Thank
met
you.
last year.
Yeah, exactly.
What's
And we-
crazy? This is what's crazy because I know you guys separately,
Yes.
and now to see you come together, who would have thought? But
This
also,
is so Dubai, by the way.
It's so Dubai.
We are
So
totally
Dubai.
we're living the Dubai life.
I
in
love
this
it. I
exact
love to see
moment.
it. You're so empowering, and you're doing
Thank
such
you.
you're doing God's work by giving this to a platform for people that want to feel like they feel
Their
seen
best
and
self.
heard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
their best
Thank
self,
you.
looking
Yeah,
for
I
their
really-
I'm
best.
so happy that you came on
Yes.
here. Thank you so much
Huge
for your
Huge help.
time.
And honestly, I think people learned a lot. So thank you
love
so
you
much.
guys so much.
Thank you.